Well, then they go out and they sell it. And usually they could sell it anywhere, they put it on the open market, just like you would a house. And usually the offers are somewhere between 20 or 40%. So $1 million policy, depending on the person's health and age and gender and all those kind of things, could be sold off for, let's say, $300,000, right? They'd rather have the $300,000 today than to, wait to give the $1 million to their kids. Hello, everybody. Today, we're going to have an episode that we call Show You the Money, just like that old Jerry Maguire movie. We've been talking about alternate investment options outside the market where you can make decent returns with no stock market risk. Well, today, we're going to break down the numbers on some paydays that clients have gotten in just the last few weeks. We want to show you those numbers. So probably get out your pad and pencil, and we're going to walk you through it and show you how you can now be truly diversified. Hello, everybody. I'm Ben Mohr here again, a retirement strategist that helps show people how to get truly diversified, meaning that they are able to learn and get educated on how to make money outside the market in ways where they can get decent returns, again, with no stock market risk. And if you've been following the show for the last couple episodes, if you haven't, go back and review some of them. It's a great listen. But if you've been following us all along, we've been kind of talking about different options and ideas of how you can do that, how you can make decent returns outside of the market, no stock market risk, especially at a time like now where the economy has just been up and down. People have been struggling with their portfolios over the last few months, even the last year. They are looking for other options. And this is the show where we're going to teach you how that works. We've worked with hundreds of clients and shown them ways to make money outside the market with no market risk. But of course, that's all theory at some point. At some point, you need to show you guys the money. And that's what we're calling this episode, is Show You the Money. So in the last about 8 weeks, we've paid out some clients, totals, 7 figures and double-digit returns. So we want to walk you through a couple of cases to show you the money and show you how this works. Now, one of the things that we are big advocates of here is an investment known as life settlements. We've talked about it. For just to recap with you, it is an investment that's been out there for a long time, but most people do not know about it. Until about 20 years ago, it was an investment that really only the ultra rich were in because they were putting a lot of money into it. And at that time, you needed a lot of money really to kind of enter that space. But over the last 20 years, this investment has become more accessible to the average investor. And that's where we kind of set up shop a while back, and we're able to take this to the average investor, if you will, and educate them on this. So what is a life settlement? Well, again, to recap here, a life settlement is where somebody has decided to sell off their permanent life insurance policy to an investor. So let's walk that through. Warren Buffett is probably one of the best known investors in the world. He kind of has the Midas touch, has done very, very well over his lifetime, kind of a, sage, if you will, when it comes to the market. Warren Buffett buys a lot of life settlements. So what he does is essentially he goes out, has a company that does this, of course, but he goes out and he buys up people's life insurance policies. Now, what happens is, he gets them at a discount and then he holds them. And when that person passes away, or in our industry, as we say, the policy matures, he's able to collect on the death benefit of that person. Now, you may ask, why would somebody sell off their life insurance if it's permanent? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Maybe they know they've got kind of the end of life situation, maybe 3, 5, maybe even 10 years left to go. And they're sitting on some, let's say, $1 million life insurance policy, which sounds all good, but you don't realize there's a dirty word in the insurance industry called a premium. Just like you pay premiums every single month for your car insurance. Well, the same thing works for most life insurance policies. People have to pay a premium. And imagine being 80 years old with $1 million life insurance policy, and you got to come up with $50,000 a year to keep that in force. Extremely expensive. While at the same time, maybe you need end of life care. We're talking about maybe needing a nurse or some kind of caretaker to come into your home, and that could cost you money as well. Could be $25,000, $50,000, $75,000. So imagine you have to pay that kind of money just to have somebody take care of you at home. And now you got to cough up this other $50,000 a year to keep this policy in force. And why are you keeping it in force? Because you're just going to give the death benefit to your family. Now let's think it through. If somebody is 80 years old, that means their kids are probably in their 50s or 60s. And most likely, if they can afford a $50,000 premium, it means that their kids are probably doing pretty well too. Their kids don't need this money. It's not like it's just legacy. Sure, they'd love to have the $1 million, but what it cost, because mom or dad is having to, eat bologna and macaroni cheese just to pay this premium. So what they realize at some point is, I don't really want this policy and I don't really need this policy. It doesn't really protect anything. It did 10, 20, 30 years ago, but now I want to get rid of it. Well, then they go out and they sell it. And usually they could sell it anywhere, they put it on the open market, just like you would a house. And usually the offers are somewhere between 20 or 40%. So $1 million policy, depending on the person's health and age and gender and all those kind of things, could be sold off for, let's say, $300,000. Right? They'd rather have the $300,000 today than to, wait to give the $1 million to their kids. And don't realize here as well that if they're having to pay, $50,000 a year, let's say for 6 years, they put $300,000 in to get the $1 million, and it's going to their kids. Rather now, they could sell it off for $300,000. And at the end of the day, then they are able to get that money and use it for end of life care. Now, on this show, we're talking about investment. I am not here asking you to sell your life insurance policies. That's not what we're about. Okay. I'm just explaining to you the apparatus of the investment. Where we're on this side is we help investors like you go out and get investments into insurance policies just like Warren Buffett does, but on a much smaller scale. You don't need $300,000. As a matter of fact, most of the people we work with are investing $25,000, $50,000, maybe $100,000. Why is that? Because what they're doing is buying an overall portfolio of policies, right? Not just one policy, which also could be dangerous because if you buy that one policy and the person does live longer than expected, it could cause problems for your returns. So what we like to do, remember, the show is called Truly Diversified. We like to diversify that option. So somebody might come in and invest with us, say $50,000. They're going to own small portions of 5 or 6 different policies. So now instead of putting $50,000 into one policy, they own portions of multiple policies, and then they get portions of each of those death benefits. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And we have information on our website, lifeassetllc.com, that also talks you through this. We have webinars and we have brochures and we have offers. I believe we also are going to have a link tree down here that would bring you to all of that. It's readily accessible. And now what I want to do is talk about, does this work and have we seen it work? Yes, I've been involved in countless payouts for investors. And in fact, the last couple of months, I was involved with some for my clients that got paid out. Just a matter of fact, we delivered checks to investors probably a couple weeks ago. And then just before that, about 6 weeks before that. Okay, we cover a lot of content on here, and I'm always asked this important question: where do I start? What is a good first step? Well, if you're looking for a way to diversify your retirement away from market volatility and still get competitive returns, I want you to watch this free on-demand training. In under 30 minutes, I will walk you through the exact strategy that smart and wealthy investors like Warren Buffett have used for decades, and they do it by investing in what's called life settlements. We'll break down how this works, real case studies, and how you can add this market-independent asset class to your portfolio without having to lock it up for 10 to 15 years in some low-performing annuity. You will learn how to build stable, predictable growth and, yes, get true diversification, especially in today's uncertain environment. All you have to do is go to lifeassetllc.com/webinar. Again, that is lifeassetllc.com/webinar, or you can click on the link below here and watch it now. It is completely free, and I think you'll find it will be a game changer on how you think about investing for your retirement. Okay, now let's get back to the show. So just so far in the last couple months, I've seen 2 payouts for my investors where they were invested in certain policies, and I'll walk you through. The first policy was paid out for over $1 million. And when my clients came in and were involved in those policies, it was what we call a life expectancy. We get a full life expectancy report, and those are available to you, a life expectancy of 97 months. So the assumption was that we expected that policy to hopefully mature in 97 months. Well, actually, the person passed away in 71 months. So it came in short, which is actually helps the return, because remember, if you put the money in, we have to calculate the APR on this policy. So 97 months is when it was expected to mature, and it actually matured in 71 months, actually matured early. And the result for the clients in that case was they made a 13% APR. Now think about that. They placed their money in something outside the market, right? It was placed with a company that owned portions of insurance policies. These are top-rated insurers. So we know that the payouts are going to be there. This is not something we have to worry about, most likely with, if you know anything about insurance carriers, they are very solid, and we only work with solid companies, the ones you've heard of, anything from Transamerica, New York Life, John Hancock. These are the backbone of the financial industry out there, as you know. That's where the payouts are coming from. So the check is collected, then the clients are paid, and in this case, they made a 13% APR without placing $1 in the stock market. And that's why they do this. And this is why Warren Buffett has put literally over $1 billion into life settlements. Yet you never hear about this from your financial advisor. Why? The reason is simple. That's not how they make money. They make money by making sure you put money in the market, because they make a percentage off of the fees of all the money you put in there. And in this case, they don't make any money off of that. So this is why you're never going to hear it from anybody in the traditional sense. You're not going to hear it from your financial advisor or anybody else you work with, because this is outside the box of what they do. Doesn't mean they're not giving you terrible or great advice. It's just they do what they do, and this is outside their realm. It's outside their expertise. Okay. Another payout that we got that just came in, like I said, a couple weeks ago, shows you again, it was a 35-month life expectancy. So just about 3 years. And the person passed away in exactly 38 months. So just a couple months longer. And then you can see here, the return on this APR per year, what the clients made, was 10%. So there you go. There's 2 payouts that have recently happened in real time. I'm not cherry picking my favorite policies to show you that we made a ton of money for people. We are actually pulling in real time the 2 most recent payouts that we've been involved with, that we've helped people with. And you can see right there, 13% APR for one, 10% APR for another. And let me ask you, if you could place money somewhere where there is no stock market risk, a place where ultra wealthy people like Warren Buffett and others, and some big banks, have been placing money secretly, really for decades, where nobody else knows about it, and you could see those types of returns like our clients have in the last couple of weeks, 10% APR, 13% APR, in this economy where the market has been up and down and things are shaky, isn't that something you might want to look into? And this is what we do with our clients. This is what we call being truly diversified, right? And if you followed the episodes in previous episodes, and if you haven't, go back. We have talked to financial experts. We have some CPAs coming up. A lot of people are now starting to move to this side, realizing that there needs to be other options out there for investors. It can't just be that every answer is found in the stock market and weather the storm, or to move all your money over into some kind of safe guaranteed CD or insurance product like an annuity, which yes, they will be guarantees and there will be safety, but always, almost always when you get safety and guarantee, you get two things: long lockup surrender periods and usually fairly low returns that get crushed by inflation. So the sweet spot here, and this is where we look to educate you here on Truly Diversified, is to find investments that are outside the market, that have competitive returns, have a track record of results, and at the same time, make sure that that money has no effect by the stock market or anything outside like that. Again, let's look at this. You would be owning portions of insurance policies. So let me ask you, how is that affected by foreign wars? How is that affected by political issues, about who's in office, who's not in office, political infighting? How does that affect you based on the economy or the stock market? It doesn't, right? We call this a non-correlated asset. And it's a non-correlated asset that has a track record of providing decent returns. As I just said, in the last two that we had payouts on, 13% APR, another one, 10% APR. And it has a track record. It's something that savvy, ultra-wealthy investors have used for a long time. And now we're educating you on that. And in upcoming episodes, we're going to delve deeper into how this works. And it's something that I think you're going to find very informational and educational, because it's now time to really tweak your thinking about how you're going to save and invest for retirement. You can't just go in and let somebody else help you put all your money in the stock market and hope that when you retire, the timing is right. We see too many cycles. You don't want to hit a cycle that's down right before you retire, and you don't want to hit one right after you get into retirement. So how do you protect yourself from that all in on the stock market? You do it by taking portions of your money out and placing it where you can see decent returns with no stock market risk. And that's what this show is about. So again, I appreciate you joining us today. I hope that the numbers weren't too all over the place, but on our YouTube channel, we will have some graphics to show that. And of course, you can always come to us. Our information's below. We have our link tree, and you can contact us there where we can run you through the numbers and show you these real returns that have been happening, where we're helping our clients be truly diversified.